you play a magnificent, powerful, very important role in this universe, on this planet. So that inner work is not just about you and attaining something in life or being better, but it's actually being part of something greater than your mind can comprehend.
Drop in,
unwind,
and recalibrate
as we shift your mentality and your reality.
Let's elevate alongside one another as we keep the vibes high
and we keep the consciousness ever evolving in this collective of high vibrational frequencies.
Welcome to the High Vibe Collective podcast. We're your hosts,
Aaron
and Stephanie.
Welcome back to the High Vibe Collective podcast. Today we have Anastasia Martynova. Thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you for inviting. So excited.
Absolutely. Anastasia is a clinical hypnotherapist, an energy healer, intuitive yoga teacher, doula, author of transformational books for adults and children, and a conscious parenting educator. And it's an honor to have her on the team here with the High Vibe Collective, servicing transformational retreat guests here in Sedona, always doing such an incredible job to nurture people's spiritual experiences and their growth. So, we'd love to hear about who you are and who you help, how you help them, and all of that jazz.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. Well, my journey began way back when I was a child. And I always knew that I want to work with people, but I didn't know in what capacity. And now I'm just so blessed and honored to work with so many clients from around the world, offering intuitive readings, energy healing, a lot of working on releasing trauma, emotional clearing, and assisting beautiful souls to really find who they are by clearing the old patterns and vibrations and emotions that are no longer serving them, and really helping them to move forward in their life. And a lot of clients also searching or seeking to find their purpose. We might have everything in our life that we wished, but we still feel empty. And that's just that our soul is talking to us and letting us know that there's a soul purpose for each of us when we come to this planet. And I love teaching yoga, I love working with children, and I'm just here to serve on this planet, but I'm always a student. I'm always learning, and that's the best. I love learning and growing together with clients.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. You use the words "here to serve," and those are words that I've been using for a long time. Not super intentionally, just it's what felt called. So can you share what that means for you, here to serve?
Yeah, well, for me, what it means, I'm just an instrument of light, and I'm constantly clearing my vessel to be that clear channel, to be at service to others, and always reminding myself that even though I am in the human experience, but at the same time, I'm here to support that collective journey that we all together. And I'm here to serve in a way to bring, or emanate or leave the imprints of who I am and be example to others, and at the same time to be open to support whoever needs that support.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. From my experience, you always provide a really safe and nurturing container, just in your energy, but also in the private, one-on-one experience. So it sounds like you've had a very profound near-death experience. And obviously there's a lot of people that might have a near-death experience, but for someone who's totally brand new to that concept, or have heard about it but haven't had one, or doesn't understand how that could be something that is profound or could impact someone spiritually.
Today's episode is brought to you by Legit Himalayan Shilajit. Now, this is a really high quality heavy metal free Shilajit resin found in the Himalayan mountains of Nepal. This is a company founded by Ben Steesey, a friend here in Sedona, Arizona. And if you don't know what Shilajit is, okay, this contains over 84 trace minerals, among other things, and it's meant for immune protection, reducing inflammation, boosting libido and fertility, producing mental clarity and stamina, and a lot more. We'll talk about it. For now, you can check it out at legitgold.com. That's LAJIT gold.com.
Yes, absolutely. Well, for me, my first near-death experience I experienced when I was a infant. It was on the third day of my life when the doctor said that I wouldn't be able to make it. And just the only one memory that I have, because it's keep reoccurring in my dreams. It's just bright, bright white light. It's not even white, but it's more like kind of like a platinum, and it's just so intense. And I just enter into that light, and from that moment, like I just remember waking up in incubator. And so that was just like definitely almost like, and for the consciousness of a child or baby, was like very maybe terrifying and scary. So for a long time, I was scared of death. But I always knew, and I would tell to my parents that I'm gonna die before my 30s. And they'll be like, no, don't even like say that. You're just making it up. And I'm like, but I know it. Like I feel it. I know it's coming. And right before I had a near-death experience when I was 27, I was just feeling like the energy is like coming and coming, and it's getting closer. And I would tell to my sister, I was like, I feel something is going to happen. She's like, no, you just like, maybe it's like a spiritual awakening that you're going to have. And one day I was in the yoga studio at that time that I had, and I was just standing, and all of a sudden, and this yoga studio was next to the ambulance station or the fire station. So the ambulance pulled out, but I don't remember that. But according to the students, I just from standing, I just felt, and I hit very like hard surface of the floor, and I just felt like straight, kind of like, boom. And I hit my head, and it was, according to students, they said it was like my head bounced like 3 times. But it was interesting that I don't have memories of any of those. And the next thing, I just see a black tunnel, and I'm just entering into that black tunnel. It wasn't scary, but I was just curious what else is there. And after that black tunnel, that was like I was traveling so fast, then I started seeing like again a white light. And when I entered that white light, it took me to another reality or another world. And I already had a different body there, which was like very interesting how quick that transition happened or is happening. And I was in this beautiful golden kind of world where the beings, they're just flying and they're all levitating, or like, for example, they might make music, but they're all in the air. Or they might have a canvas and they're painting, but they're still floating in the air. And just the vibration was so joyous and so happy. And also was seeing like staircase, and there was some of the beings were sitting on the staircase. And I felt like I was there for my entire life. I felt like I was part of it, even though I just arrived there. And but then the next, I started hearing the voice of the elder self, or we might call it like higher self or the spirit. And that voice would start telling me like, no, you can't leave. You have to come back. And I'm like, go back where? I'm here, happy. And it was just so strong and so consistent. Was keep telling me like, no, you have to come back and finish what you started. And when I heard that, I was like kind of puzzled, and in my mind, in a different mind, which is different from this physical mind, I was like questioning, like, okay, what is this? I was trying to remember, but all the memories that were erased, and the memories of who I am, that I have a role here, that I have family here, like none of that, like I couldn't even pick up or remember. But as soon as like I kind of questioned and said like, okay, all of a sudden it's like that my consciousness is start traveling so fast that it felt like on a super fast elevator, but going down. That felt like so strange and nauseous. And when the consciousness dropped into this body, then I was like, ouch. that really hurts. Like, what happened to me? And the next thing, I was trying to like look around and remember where I am. And I was asking like, what are the coordinates here? Where am I? So I still couldn't put in my head anything like where I'm located, what I'm doing there, why I'm even laying down. I'm having pain, like intense pain, like, and afterwards, my husband, he was looking at me, and I didn't see him, but I was seeing like a man with a golden hair and blue eyes, and he's like, "Really? You're just gonna live like this?" And I'm like, "Who are you?" He's like, "I'm an Ashtar." And at that time, I'm like, "Okay, Ashtar, fine, but like, why are you like so strict?" Like in a way, like I was just, kind of traveling or exploring, and and after that, like his image disappeared, and I was curious to kind of find out more about the Ashtar and what it means, and then I started getting encounters, or I guess meeting those ethereal beings already here on this planet. But yeah, and during the recovery process, that was another transformational journey after that near-death experience, because I took like 2 or 3 months to recover. My head felt like full of water. I lost the purpose of existing on this planet. Like I would just look at the humans and they're all happy, and I'm like, how do they like feel it? Like how do I do it? Like what can I do to be the same or feel even kind of that joy or happiness? But during those moments, it definitely taught me to take time for myself, and it has a purpose, that integration, that after that near-death experience, that integration piece was super important, because a lot of memories from my past lives, a lot of memories of my time travels to the other planets and stars, they were just flooding as like I was watching a movies. And that was the time when I journal and wrote them down, and now I put them into the book that is going to be released soon. And yeah, but that near-death experience taught me not to be afraid of death, which as an infant, I created that shock or trauma of being afraid of it. And also, it taught me about afterlife, and it taught me, or it showed me about past lives that I lived on this planet many, many lifetimes. And I learned so many lessons. And it makes sense, because since childhood, I always felt like, oh, this is my last lifetime, and I really want to reach the full enlightenment. Nothing else matters to me. And it explains why I chose that near-death experience, because it really just showed everything, what I needed to see and complete. And it almost gave me a guidance and direction, like a map of what I need to focus on and what I need to do to complete this lifetime and fully release myself, not only physically, but emotionally, energetically, and mentally from this plane of existence. But yeah, that was a very profound experience. Definitely will never forget about it. And it just was a learning experience. And now I just learn how to apply it into my life and constantly refer back to it. And if I get lost, I always reach out to that journal and like, okay, this is what I need to focus on. So I'm very grateful for that experience.
Wow.
Yeah.
So for someone who is thinking, wow, a near-death experience, all these different worlds, not just this plane of existence. If someone were to ask you, well, what does that mean that you are experiencing visions or the felt sense of other realms? For someone who might be asking from the standpoint of just thinking that this is the only world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, afterwards, definitely my vision, which is not physical vision, but my, I guess, internal vision started expanding. And my ethereal boundaries, they start kind of releasing or dissolving. And it could be moments where I could be driving or standing in a room, but that room it just disappears and I'm in a different room or in a different, and the characters in front of me, they're different too. And to me, the way how I explain the parallel realities or the other worlds that I see, or if I choose to communicate, because sometimes it could be a little overwhelming or too much. I explain it as like different channels. There are different channels in this infinite universe, and every channel vibrates on a certain frequency. And all those worlds, so we call them, could be like parallel realities or other universes, they all almost like inside, it's like one field, but they're on a different vibration. And it's very interesting how we don't really notice it or realize it, but we might be sitting in this house or in this space, but there's other world exist in the same space. And my inner vision would show me like there's some, as we'll, we can call them ghosts, or I call them souls, but there's like other souls that coexist at the same time in the same space. And it's very beautiful to learn about other worlds, but we always have a choice. I know a lot of people are terrified about like, it's scary, but we get a chance to choose what channel you want to attune yourself to. Do you want to attune yourself to more lower vibrational channel, which is not bad. It's beautiful. It's different. But it's just different. Or if you want to attune yourself to the higher vibrational channel, and it's beautiful, it's a different wisdom. But to me, it's something that I've been experiencing since I was a child. I would see things, but I couldn't understand what it is, and I thought there was something wrong with me until that real near-death experience really taught me and showed me what it means. But yeah, so hopefully this explains.
It does, yeah. And has having that near-death experience impacted how your medicine comes across in session and when helping individuals?
Definitely taught me to be in a space of just that channel or that presence or just beingness, and not to involve my logic mind, because logic mind always have answers, but sometimes they come from the space of what you want to say or what you see. But it taught me to be in that space of just trust, but also like being open and clear, and kind of allow that information to come through. And it definitely helped me a lot, like working with clients where there could be some resistance and they might not be open. But to me, when I enter into that channel, I'm not even here, like in a way, like as a character, Anastasia, but I'm just here being that instrument of sharing those messages or the healing medicine or the healing energies or the healing light that particular soul needs to receive. So it taught me to be more in my, I guess, that presence or that more moment of now rather than being in a logic mind. Yeah.
Do you think that everyone needs to have a near-death experience?
Not at all. I feel like every soul, definitely on a different timeline, there's a new souls that they just starting their journey through time and space and dimensions and different worlds. They're still learning, and a lot of times we judge ourselves or feel ashamed, like, oh, I did something bad. And truly, there's no bad or good. And that was another lesson that near-death experience taught me, that all vibrations, sadness, anger, rage, happiness, joy, they're equally important. And there's no like differentiation when you leave this plane of existence of duality, where the mind either seeing good or bad. But my near-death experience taught me that all the experiences, they are valuable to the soul essence, to the soul wisdom that it wants to experience. And definitely it's not necessary for everyone to experience that experience, because you can learn in life. Life is a school. It's a beautiful place of learning, but a lot of times we ignore that learning. We ignore our inner voice or that inner teaching, that your inner self, because each of us, we have our inner healer, inner teacher, but we tend to ignore or push it away. And you can always learn profound lessons in real life. The life is your playground. Life is a place of a beautiful learning, learning in communion, or that relationship with yourself, relationship with nature, relationship with others, with friends, partners, parents, and there's so much to learn. So definitely you don't have to like, oh, I must experience that to reach my awareness. Truly what you need is just kind of maybe step back a little bit and be an observer. I know it's not easy because our logic mind tends to get in the way all the time. But when you step back and just observe, what patterns do I see in my life? What something is happening? What life is trying to teach me? Even in the most like negative, unpleasant experience, what's something that the spirit is trying to tell me? What is my soul lesson here that me as a soul wrote in my script for this lifetime? There has to be an explanation beyond what our mind can comprehend. And also, since we've been talking about other worlds, this current plane of existence, as we call it, planet Earth, or this life, it also communicates with other life, your other lives in a different planes of existence, or other worlds, or parallel realities. And your choices here, they affect and they communicate with other worlds too. So there's so much learning, but a lot of times we kind of get swollen, I guess, by the currents of the life and the problems and challenges, and we go into the space of resistance where we just shut down and we start living that disconnected life from the real, that vibration, that fabric of consciousness, what we call life. Yes, I invite you to really connect to what your life is trying to tell you, and just learn and be open to explore. And that's what we're here for. We're here on this planet to learn and to master this human experience of emotions and feelings. And we're also here to practice how we can co-create, how we can manifest the energy into matter. And yeah, there's just lots of lessons and a lot of beautiful experiences to explore on this planet and beyond.
That's deep. That's deep. People that are listening may or may not have access to work with you or someone right away, whether that's their own limiting beliefs in their head or finances or whatever it may be. And so if someone wasn't in a position to seek real transformation with guidance from someone like yourself, do you have any recommendations for them for, in the meantime, something that they can do, whether it's an exercise or a way of thinking, that you would share with them?
I want to give another shout out to Legit Himalayan Shilajit. This stuff is incredible, and obviously they did sponsor this episode, so I want to share with you a little bit about Shilajit. You might be wondering, what is Shilajit? Or maybe you know what it is and have tried it, but you didn't realize where it came from. So above the tree line, where only the most resilient plants can grow, in the Himalayan mountains in Nepal, the harsh elements form the Shilajit resin through thousands of years of decomposition. So their gold grade shilajit is found veined within the rocks high up in a mountain range. It's hand collected by Sherpas, the mountain tribes of Nepal, and they've been collecting and purifying shilajit for generations. So what is shilajit for you though, right? It's a powerful tonic and it's proven to balance your hormones, restore your microbiome, improve your cognition, and rejuvenate you from the inside out because it has anti-aging properties. Most people are going to report feeling refreshed and energized immediately after consuming it. That being the said, not everyone does, but the first time I tried it, I definitely felt a head change in a really interesting way. It really helped me feel more present and grounded. And I do use it daily, and I love this brand. They have a really high quality source, great founders. What an awesome mission to support while supporting your health. You can find this at legitgold.com. That's LAJIT gold.com.
Yes, absolutely. Well, there's a lot of resources available nowadays online. You can start with maybe just inquiring about what is that inner work means. Or there's a lot of books nowadays that are available. And definitely taking time just to go into the stillness. We always spend time in like, go, 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 do. And like, we don't even breathe. We like constantly like hold our breath and we constantly stressed and we're just like trying to manage all the responsibilities that we have. But that's what really disconnects us from our soul essence. So the real, simple, available to you, right in your space, wherever you are around the world, is that stillness, the moments where you can just find a place where you can just relax and just take 10 deep breaths. Connect to your feelings, to your emotions. What do you feel at that moment? And whatever, either it's a challenge or a beautiful blessing that you're going through, just acknowledge it, appreciate it, and invite and welcome all emotions into your life. And those are just simple tools that are available to all of us. And if you feel like there's definitely you're ready for that transformational journey, you can use a simple tool as your journal. A journal is your best friend. It's a reflection of what is inside of you, where you can just share without hiding, and where you can just place it on the paper and set it free from your heart, set it free from your body. And that true transformation happens from that space of awareness. The first step that you take is being aware. What is something is happening in my life? How do I feel about it? Do I tense up? Do I feel like small or big or happy or sad? What does that brings to my life and how does it affect my life? And what does it do to my energy? And whenever you're ready, the right teacher will show up in your life. And it's definitely your most important teacher is you. But you have to listen to your inner voice, which is not easy. A lot of times we tend to like just shut down and just like, that voice is telling me like, do this or go there or time for a change. And we're like, no, I just want to be in this job. I'm just keep going, keep doing it because it pays my bills. How many of us we answer or with that reply to ourselves or to that inner teacher? And it's just one of the examples. And then definitely whenever you're ready, your ethereal teachers will start showing up into your life. It could be in your dreams. It could be in your life where you're just outside and all of a sudden there's the beautiful animal spirit shows up as a real animal, just or a bird. And if you quiet your mind, you can understand what the spirit is trying to tell you or teach you. And another best teacher could be your nature, being outside in nature and rocks and water. And then when you're ready for the full, just that purging, detoxing, then you'll always find that space and opportunities and resources to seek out the help and just do it for yourself So then you can create space for new things, for new beginnings, for new vibrations in your life, new experiences. So I truly believe there's no, everything is possible in life. A lot of times we create our own blocks, like that I don't have time, or it's impossible, how I'm gonna do it, or it's too much, it's too scary. But if you ask whose voice is speaking there, and I call it a voice of a pain body, it's a voice that's scared, the voice that is just trying to hold on to that comfort zone, but it's just terrified. It's like, oh my gosh, soon if I allow myself, then I'm going to open my wings and I'm going to fly. What is it going to feel like? And I know it's a foreign feeling to be free or to be happy or to be in your most joyous vibration. And that's the voice that is speaking to you that I don't have resources, I don't have time, it's not possible. It's just the voice of your pain body, of the part of you that was disconnected, the part of you that felt that wounded, or like was wounded or felt pain or discouragement or whatever it is, or trauma. But if you, instead of kind of pushing that voice, but what if you just welcome that voice by just simply placing your hands on your heart and just saying, I hear you. I know how you feel. And I'm here for you. We can do it together. You're not alone. And you can always ask for help. Ask for help from your guides, your spirit guides, your angels, universe, God, whatever you believe in. That greater power that around you, that always hears you, that always nurtures you and supports you. But if you just ask for that help and just open your heart, all the possibilities, they will present themselves into your life. And how beautiful it is just to receive and at the same time to step on your path of your soul evolution. A lot of times we tend to kind of get stuck in that space of keep reliving the same patterns over and over and over again every day. And how many years until life, which is your greatest teacher, will start speaking to you? Well, sometimes life can be a really powerful teacher. It might talk to you through challenges. All of a sudden, it will take things away from you, or it will bring some disharmony or dysfunction or illness or disease into your life. So then we start really connecting. What is happening in my life? Why is it happening? But the question is for you, do you really want to wait until the life really speaks to you by shaking your foundation and trying to wake you up? Or are you ready to make that step towards yourself, towards your soul essence, towards your soul purpose right now? And if you feel that answer is yes, that you're ready to make that step right now, then just surrender and open up and ask for help. And that help will arrive always. And you always will be guided with who to work with, where to go, who to reach out to. But you have to trust and listen and go into that space of stillness right where we started. Yeah.
I'm moved right now. So it sounds like it just takes starting with being open to these things and taking one step towards it.
Yeah, definitely.
So when people talk about inner work or doing the work, or any concept of processing, or oh yeah, I'm doing the work, or oh yeah, I'm always working on myself. What does that mean to you, and what does that mean to your clients, and what is the practical, tangible definition of inner work?
Yeah. What if you just connect to this present moment? Every moment of our existence, it's a beautiful creation. It's a beautiful creation, and in this world, through our thoughts, vibrations, words, actions. For example, if your actions like what kind of energy you're creating in your life? But what if your actions like very moving gently in your life? Or what if your thoughts are so negative or positive? It makes a big difference. That inner work, a lot of times people say like, oh, it's like something harsh that we have to do. But it's truly, we're doing it right now. We're doing in that space, in that moment where we are in constant that creation. We're not constant that manifestation of our life. And our vibrations they create. And the inner work is just a tool to almost recalibrate our vibrations so our creations that we create become more attuned and connected to our true essence of who we are. And even though the inner work might be a little bit scary, but it has a very valuable, beautiful, profound experience, or will bring that profound experience into your life. And to me, inner work is just being aware. Simply being aware how my creation of my everyday emotions and motions and vibrations, how do they affect the world around me? Because we're so ego-centered, it's all about us. But we never think about how's our vibrations affect the plants around us, animals, water, this beautiful Mother Earth that nurtured and birthed us, gave us a birth into this reality. And that inner work is not just only like, I'm going to do this inner work so I can get a better job. No, what if you allow yourself to see that you play a magnificent, powerful, very important role in this universe, on this planet. So that inner work is not just about you and attaining something in life or being better, but it's actually being part of something greater than your mind can comprehend. That inner work serves the purpose for the entire creation. And when you do that inner work, you become in tune and blessed by support of everything around you and within you. It's much greater than you can even comprehend. And I invite you, when you step into that journey of inner work, really come back to that space of your sacred heart. That inner work that you are connecting is not about you, but it's about everything, because you are part of everything. And when we do that inner work, it really allows us to be the conscious creators. It allows us to step into the role where we at service to something greater, and we are examples to other people, our friends, our family, how to be that conscious creator. And to me, that inner work, it started, or that inner mastery began when I was a child. It's something that came naturally, where I would see through the lens of the light, what is the shadow, without judging that shadow, and what that shadow, that example is trying to teach me, but what's something that I can transmute that shadow, which is just absence of light, into that space of awareness, so then it can become that light, to become that beautiful vibration. And to me, inner work is not something that I put it on my to-do list, like I have to do and sit down, but it's every second awareness of who I am and what I'm doing. And yes, my mind might get lost in thoughts, and it could be like, there was other thoughts floating in the space, and I picked up those floating thoughts, and now I'm thinking negatively. But that awareness is the inner work. Instead of judging, and instead of being ashamed, I'm like, oh, I did something bad. But I allow myself to let myself feel and learn and do that inner work, where bringing that awareness like, oh, I just did it. Is it really necessary in that creation? Or is it something that I can transmute and transform? And it becomes a choice and awareness. And the more and more we practice that, the more we become aware of what words do we use? How do we react to certain things? How we communicate with others and ourselves, with the world around us. And that's what I call inner work. It's not something that you sit down and do like a homework, but it's your daily life. It's a mastery. It's like if you would be an artist and you have a canvas in front of you and you have all those colors to pick, which colors would you use? What would you paint? What would you create? And most likely you will put all your heart into that painting, into that canvas, into that creation. And that's what your life, that inner mastery, inner work, is that constant creation and then constant like painting through vibrations, your thoughts, emotions, actions, words. And yeah, so this is just my perception about what inner work means.
So how does inner work lead to transformation in your life and in other people's life?
Well, inner work, when we become aware of something, let's pick example. Something is not working out in your life and you really want that. But the life is trying to tell you something. But we keep doing it and keep doing it and it's not working. And through that inner work process, the first step will be maybe using a paper or finding a friend or therapist or healer, someone to share with. What is happening in your life? What are feelings and patterns you notice? Instead of fighting with something that is just not happening, but first becoming aware of what emotions it's bringing up for you. And then maybe even connecting, where in your lifetime do you remember this, the first time ever in your life when you felt the strongest, that emotion? And most likely you'll find it in your library of your childhood memories. All our experiences in our adulthood, they are just a repetition of what we created as beliefs and conclusions in our childhood, or what experiences or emotions we experienced when we were little children. And then when you find that space to speak, to share, either with a journal or a person, then you'll start connecting deeper to that feeling, connecting deeper to that memory that is just sitting in your body. And I usually say that doesn't matter how deep you bury your emotions, they never die. But one day they will explode, and sometimes they explode in the most ugliest way. And when you connect to those feelings, those emotions, or memories that are still alive, that can be possibly happen in your childhood or maybe even before in a different lifetime. When you connect with them, you find them and you allow and give a voice to them to be free. And that's what I call it, process or transform those vibrations. And those vibrations, instead of sitting inside of you and destroying you and creating the blockages and challenges and not allowing you to move forward, when you transform and give a voice to them, you set them free back to that ethereal or etheric field, back to just the energy. And then you have a space to create new. And then all of a sudden, your life and your path just clears and it becomes like, oh, I see things right now differently. I know what actions I should take. And that's what, to me, transformation, when we connect with the most deepest part of us that we just kind of suppressed and hiding them inside, but they're still there. Those memories that are still alive and they were not processed. And when you process them, that big transformation, and transformation to me, it means it's just transmuting the energy of that negative experience that is inside of your memories, your subconscious mind, or your physical cellular memories. When you transform it or transmute it, that energy that was negative, it just becomes a different vibration. And your whole life around you becomes brighter, clearer. And that's what, to me, that transformation means.
That sounds nice. Wow. Is transformation a dark and scary thing?
No, not at all. It's just finding courage. A lot of times we are ashamed or scared or just judge ourselves. And transformation is just an opportunity to connect to your shadows. All of us, we have shadows because we live in a duality world. That's what we're here for. We're here to master those shadows. And the shadows, they're not bad, they're not different, they're not separate. But a lot of times we tend to disconnect from the shadows. We tend to judge and push away, and we don't even want to look that way. And that's what makes us feel scared of our own self. But guess what? In that shadow, there's that powerful message for you. And because it's a duality world, in that shadow that we are so scared of, it's the most powerful message of what your power is. And if you allow and welcome that shadow by bringing that light, as we call it, transformation, then you find that power that you gave it away to others. In the moments of trauma or negative experiences or unhealthy relationships or whatever it is. But that shadow is there for you, not giving up on you for a reason. Because it's trying to tell you something. It's trying to guide you to the most sacred space, your power. Maybe it's the power of your voice. Maybe it's the power of making your own choices in your life. Or maybe it's the power of allowing yourself to be free who you are and live the life to the fullest. Or whatever that power, or the power of love by pleasing other people, or the power of making other people happy and forgetting about yourself. Whatever that power, there's always that shadow that's trying to just tell you. And when you welcome that scary shadow that looks like a monster sometimes to us because it has all those ugly, uncomfortable feelings, when you welcome it back into your life, then you're like, oh, that makes sense. It's exactly what I was looking for. Oh, it's exactly why I felt empty, because I gave it away. So yes, it might feel scary, but if you ask yourself, how long do you choose to exist in that space? That I know it's uncomfortable and it's still going to be there because that shadow is trying to tell you something and it's not going to leave you alone. Even let's use example of relationships, right? Which is pretty common nowadays in our 21st century. We're like, oh, this is not working out. I'm just going to leave. Well, guess what? That shadow, that person that we call it partner in your life for a purpose. It's the greatest teacher that's trying to tell you something. And if you just run away without realizing a lesson or what's that shadow is trying to tell you, guess what? You're going to find another partner. At the beginning, everything will be beautiful. But after 2 years or 1 year or 2 months or 1 week, all of a sudden you're like, oh, that's exact the same pattern, but different person. Well, because it's inside of you, that shadow that is talking to you. It's not about any other characters in your life. They have their own path. They have their own lessons. So it's just invitation not to be scared of that shadow, but instead of saying, I welcome you. I know you have something special to tell me and remind me what I forgot. And I know you are the roadmap to that part of me that was disconnected. And now it's ready to be returned back. I'm ready to claim it back. I'm ready to take it back or bring it back to the wholeness and start living the life, not as a fragmented, but as the vibrant being of light. And that's what I call it, transformation and welcoming those scary parts or the shadows. And it's a beautiful experience. And if you allow yourself just to even make that one little baby step towards it, it will bring such a very beautiful, and you'll never regret for making that little baby step just towards that vibration. Yeah.
This feels like it's coming full circle into finding out or feeling or letting it come up from the inside what one's soul purpose or life calling is. Now that we've journeyed through the inner work and the internal world and how important that is. When you were talking about the inner work, it made me think that, like an iceberg, that this outer world that we see and interact in is just the tip of the iceberg of who we actually are as beings, and that there's such depth below and inside. And we could say, oh, well, my life purpose is to have this career or to help this people on this surface way. But there's obviously something deeper than that. Mm-hmm. So would you mind sharing what soul purpose means to you and what life calling means to you and how that's played a part in your life and how you also work with others to help them discover their soul purpose?
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's a beautiful question. I know a lot of people they usually ask the same question, or they come for a session where they want to find their soul purpose. Well, we begin from the beginning, right where we started. That we are the light, we are that beautiful energy or the consciousness that travels into so many spaces, to so many worlds, to so many existences and dimensions and timelines. We travel there to explore and to experience the life, to learn, and to bring that wisdom back with us to that greater library of creation. And the number one purpose for all of us as those beings of light on this planet is to master the mind, to master our emotions, feelings, thoughts, actions, to master your body, to understand this vehicle that was given to us. Imagine you are just learning how to drive and you never ask, how does this vehicle works? Well, guess what? The first time you get behind the wheel, you might get into a car accident. And that's what we forget. When we arrive to this planet, we forget to ask or to even question, what is this body, this vehicle was given for and why? How do we use our mind and how do we become friends, not enemies, with our minds and with our body? And when we master those two planes of existence first, then as a soul essence, we start connecting deeper to what is here for me on this planet that I wanted to explore. And for each of us, it may be different. But a lot of times what happens, we want to immediately jump into like, oh, I need to, let's use example, I want to open a yoga studio, or I want to write a book, that's going to make me spiritual, oh, I want to be a healer. But if we just jump into that space of like, from the space of our mind and the ego, ask yourself, who wants to write that book? Who wants to open that yoga studio or do something good for people? And that would be that part of you that is seeking validations, that is seeking approval, that is seeking that fame. But as a beings of light, we don't need any of those. Just being on this planet in your full light, in your full presence, it's perfectly enough. And you're already doing your purpose. And when you start questioning yourself, what is my soul purpose on this planet? Then ask yourself, what is my relationship to those two planes of existence, which is the body, which is the vehicle, and your mind? Have you ever even looked into mastering those two beautiful tools and instruments that provided to your soul for a purpose? And when you master those two planes of existence, then your cup or that instrument become full of that light. It just vibrates in a very high vibrational way. You just feel it just like pouring out of you. And then when you feel like your cup is so full, then your heart will just guide you and show you in what way you want to express that light. That it's just overflowing through your body and through your words and your actions and your vibrations and your thoughts. And you'll be guided in the right direction. You don't have to no longer seek that validation or approval or doing something just to be noticed or seen. And that's what, to me, the true soul purpose is, for us to be that light, to be that master of our world that we create every second. And when we master our own inner world, then we are drawn or will be guided how to share that light with everyone else around us in whatever way you choose to share. And to me, it's in a constant space of expansion. I was guided to share through yoga practice, working with children with special needs, and just bringing them joy, opening a nonprofit where children perform on the stage and just showing their gifts and talents, where they're believing in themselves that even if they're different, but they're gifted, they're special, they're here for a purpose. And then I was guided to be a preschool teacher, and then I was guided to bring that love to working with people with traumas and become a hypnotherapist and doing the energy work and more trauma and clearing. And now I'm guided to write books, and it's just constantly expanding. When that light is overflowing, there's no that one specific kind of art that you want to express yourself through. And that art is constantly evolving and expanding. And that's what, to me, that soul purpose. It's not defined. It's not just like, oh, I must do this, or that's what I should be doing. But it's just being in that light and allowing your heart to guide you in what way you want to express that light. And yeah, so that's kind of my vision of what that soul purpose for us to be on this planet.
I've heard a lot of people ask, like you were mentioning, how do I find out what my soul purpose is? I'm itching to know what that thing is. And it really sounds like and feels like it's not necessarily one thing. On the outside, it's the inner cultivation of letting yourself be who you are to the extent that anything you're doing is in line with your soul purpose, no matter what it looks like on the outside.
Yes, absolutely. And it doesn't have to be a spiritual arts. It could be you sharing and pouring that light, working in the emergency room, or being a police officer, or being a leader, or leading others, being a mayor. as long as that you in that light. So it doesn't matter what art we choose to express, or being a builder or plumber or anything. You are beautiful and enough just being and radiating that light. And whatever you call to do, it doesn't have to be yoga studio or writing books or something spiritual. It's just being at service at your highest vibration in whatever way you choose to express yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So can you share with us a little bit about your book and really anything else that we should know about you and be able to learn more about your work? And, how can we find you online? How can we touch base with, who Anastasia is and what you've brought forth so far to this world?
Yeah, thank you. Well, to me, I'm here and there and everywhere. And it's just, the life is such a beautiful gift. But it's just being in that moment of now is so important. And to me, I'm always fascinated learning every day. And I guess the book, it came from that space of curiosity. The curiosity, how's my characters in my life? Why are they in my life? And after that near-death experience, that actually I saw a vision that we're going to be moving to Sedona, and we moved from East Coast, where I had everything set up, like a yoga studio and healing center, and working in the nonprofit world and serving, teaching yoga in a school system, or we had practitioners or teachers teaching yoga in a school system. It was everything beautiful. But the life was telling me, like, it's time to move. It's not about holding on to things, but learning also to detach and find the other soul contracts that you have to meet in this lifetime. And I was shown that we'll be moving to Sedona in 2 years, and it did happen just randomly, like out of nowhere. Like, I could never even think that. I'm like, what? We're moving? Just letting go of everything there and starting over again? But deep inside, I knew that it has a purpose. And in that book, which is like a beautiful sharing of my kind of the transformational or like self-realizations, that, oh my gosh, every character in my life, I made a soul contract to meet with them. And if I'm going to stay on the East Coast, I'm going to postpone and maybe prolong my journey on this planet in a way, like if I don't meet them in this lifetime, that means it's going to continue on, or I have to do it in the next lifetime. And by choosing to come here, it was just another chapter, like keep adding the chapters, like those chapters of the book were evolving. And it was just profound, I guess, in that book. It talks about how I started the journey way back in the space, and how this character, which all happening simultaneously, character of Anastasia, choosing a perfect body, perfect lifetime, perfect parents, perfect everything for that deep awakening, and how she's meeting the characters with unresolved conflicts in the space and other dimensions, but they're all meeting here on the planet Earth. It's like, what? How's that even possible? And when I wrote that book and I had that last character in that book that I have to meet, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna, finish the book and just close the chapter. But I still didn't meet that character until just recently. And when that person, and in that book, I write that through that healing work that I do, it's also a way to connect with the souls that I'm meant to connect and resolve some conflicts from the past. And it was just, I don't know, to me, it was like, wow. When that person was sharing everything in his session, I was like, okay, I'm just blown away. Like universe or life, you just like fascinating. How is that even possible? And but yeah, now finally I completed that book, which to me, we are the authors of our own life. But we have to remember that our past experiences and unresolved conflicts, they carry on into every lifetime, into every dimension, and they all overlap and all happening simultaneously. And when those unresolved energies are still there, you cannot really write a new chapter of your life as an author. Not as an author, but I'm talking about as a conscious creators. And following that inner voice and guidance to go to certain places, to do certain things, it completes those cycles. Or you meet just a stranger and you have a talk, and all of a sudden you're like, boom, and you had that massive completion with that character. So I invite you to pay attention. Who is in your life? What do those characters mean? And you might start awakening and remembering your past lives and your other lifetimes and other stars and planets where you already met those characters. And they are here for some reason again in your bubble. And so that book just takes you through that journey of my personal journey, how coming from the stars and how traveling through space and coming here on the spaceship that was crashed, and how many lifetimes I spent here and what I placed myself into, because our words is almost like a spell. And what I said, it's like, it kind of created almost like a script. But now creating that last chapter in completion, it's just so beautiful to see how now I'm ready to create new, ready to move forward. And also part of the book, it's like a workbook where after sharing my journey, I invite you and I guide you through those steps, how to connect to your journey, how to awaken to those parts of you that needs that completion, so you can fully step into being that conscious author of your life and your soul journeys and start creating new. Our planet and our creation that we all creating together, it's definitely running out of, I feel like, ideas. We keep replaying the loops of patterns over and over again. Even of looking at the history of this planet, all those wars and distractions, they keep repeating in every civilization and every century. But we never question why. Why are we stuck in a loop and a pattern? And what if those characters in different civilizations or centuries, they're the same characters right here, right now? And we're all here. But it's time to create that completion and resolve those energies, as we call it, transformation, or bringing that light into that shadow. And then we can create a new blueprint all together. Create a new blueprint for our planet. And that's also part of the book that is guiding you to create the blueprint for yourself, for your life, for the planet. Because it's time. It's time to be that conscious creator and awaken, as a lot of people would say. The golden age is coming. Well, that deep awareness, awakening, remembrance, that you are the creation, that you are the creator, and you are part of everything. And now it's time to create again, create new stories. And a beautiful example that when I used to work with children in the preschool, just observing the children, when they play a castle game, the beautiful little girl sitting and playing castle game where she built it with the Legos, and she built a main character, which is her, and a prince, and a bad guy, and a horse. But it's still the same little girl playing that in her imagination. All those different ideas and plots. But eventually she runs out of all the plots. And they keep repeating, and she's like a little bored. She's like, I don't want to play it again. I already did it. The next thing, and that really happened in preschool, she's like, phew, And she just completely like destroyed her entire castle. And I'm like, Cassie, why'd you do this? It was so beautiful. She's like, it's okay. I'll build a new one. I have new ideas and I want to create new things. And that example really touched my heart. And almost like spirit spoke through that child, saying that it's time to create that completion and create new experiences, new plots, new scripts for all of us. Because we're all in it together and we're not separate. We're all that consciousness, that energy, but just expressing that energy in a different way of, I guess, expression. And yeah, so that's the book. And I know it's very deep and there's a lot of to learn and to explore. And it takes you almost like into the trance. So when I reread it to myself just to kind of finalize, I feel like I need to take breaks. I'm like, after the chapter, I'm like, phew, and I'm like gone. And so it's definitely very healing. So it's not just words, but I infused it with the energies of kind of to take you into that space or to help you to get into that space of transformation and clearing. So there's a lot of transmissions in that book, and the part of the workbook, it helps you to get to your kind of journey and what is there needs to be resolved before the new chapter to begin. And all my work, I have a website which is Portal of Rebirth, and that name came to me when I moved to Sedona. I was guided by spirit to call the practice as a portal of rebirth. And I was like, what does that mean? And the spirit's like, I'll tell you, I'll show you. And it meant a lot to me in this last 3 years being here in Sedona. I definitely felt like a rebirthing every day. And I'm like, Sedona, bring it on. Not really, kind of. I can't do this anymore. Okay, I can. And it was just a constant rebirthing and like recalibrating and preparing for the next journey. And here I am. I'm just open. I'm just ready in the flow. And as I complete my chapter of the book, or the book with all the soul journeys, I have a new chapter on the new book to write, which is my life. And I'm so blessed and grateful to be here in this powerful vortex of Sedona. And now I'm writing my new chapters of my life, and I'm ready for that journey to begin. And I know that it's going to be something different and expensive, but I'm here and I'm ready. And I choose not to be in my logic mind. What is it? When is it going to happen? But I'm just open. I'm open to receive all invitations from the spirit and guidance. And I'm just here in this vehicle of the body. Whenever it's time, I'm ready to move. I'm ready to make steps. And I do have a Facebook and Instagram that I don't really maybe use as often because I love more one-on-one and beautiful connections with people. But I know how valuable it is to reach out to the rest of the world, and how valuable to have the website so other people can connect. And I had this beautiful kind of recent experience where one of the clients reached out and I asked her, like, I was just curious, like, how did you find me? And she's like, oh, I was listening to podcast, and there was that one beautiful soul, she's in Sedona, she was sharing about this healing art, and I'm like, I don't do any podcasts. Or I haven't done it before. But she's like, then I went to cook, and when I finished my dinner, I came back and I opened the previous healer website, and I thought it was still the same website, so I didn't even look, and I just scrolled it down and I registered and booked the session. And the next thing, I'm like, she's noticing that the name is different, and she just decided to trust. But somehow the website, Portal of Rebirth, just popped on her screen. And to me, I call it soul contracts, soul connections that needs to be completed. And the spirit is always behind the scenes. They're guiding and showing us and helping us. But if that beautiful lady, if she would have gone with her logic mind, she could have canceled the appointment or she could have resist. But it will just create more blockages and more stagnation in her life because she's not listening to her inner guidance of her own inner teacher, her own inner master. And yeah, so that's just example how our social media and a podcast is how so valuable to reach out around the globe and connect with those souls so we can all come to that space of completion and we can all together write a new blueprint for this earth. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I've been getting chills throughout the podcast and felt very meditative through your, guidance of what it's like to, do inner work or be in that space of really living in the soul purpose as opposed to looking for the soul purpose.
Yeah.
And that feels very reaffirming and also grounding. Like, I don't have to go and find my purpose, or I don't have to sit down and do my inner homework or wish that I had a near-death experience as cool as yours. And that instead it feels like a really deep invitation to simply be and trust and listen and almost really surrender to this greater force that we are a part of, instead of try to externally force ourselves into things. And your example with the woman who booked your session without even trying to get to your website, and how many times have we thought something went wrong, or something goes wrong in life, and then we try to fix it on the surface, and instead it's a clear invitation to me to simply, trust how things play out and be a part of that flow instead of try to control the flow with the mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's been such an honor to be speaking with you. I feel like if we had 5 more hours, we might be able to cover the depths of every angle of, like I've been saying, the medicine that you bring. And you've worked with so many different types of people and children, and it's so inspiring to not only hear what you're sharing, but feel it. Being in the same room, you can really feel someone, and the quality and the depth that you have to offer is healing in and of itself. So thank you for being on the episode and sharing. And in case you're listening now and want to hear it again, so your website is portalofrebirth.com, and your Instagram as well if they want to connect with you on there.
The same.
Portal of Rebirth. Beautiful. And is your book accessible right now?
It's in the process of publishing, and it's probably will be available in spring. So I'll be announcing on my website, and you can purchase also on the website or Amazon. And also I'm going to post it on Instagram. Yeah, I'm excited.
Perfect. Wonderful. So follow Anastasia there, and please follow the podcast, whatever platform you're on. Like it, subscribe, rate it 5 stars. It really helps to just support this mission, and like you're saying, Anastasia, to help create the blueprint. And I feel that very strongly, that we each individually are part of that creation in every moment. So stay tuned, and we look forward to connecting with everyone more.
Yes, thank you for inviting, and nice to meet everyone, and hopefully we'll meet if it's meant to be in person too.
Perfect. Thank you.